There is a trail in the park near your home. You've seen it, a narrow streak of dirt carved across the grass, where the sidewalk bends. But people don't. Where feet, one by one, ignored the map and walked their own way. The planners did. Not mark it. The architects did not predict it. And yet it formed, quietly, inevitably. This is called a desire path, a name far too romantic for what it seems to be. A patch of grass worn thin by impatience, convenience, or defiance. But if you pause, if you look closer, it begins to feel like something more, like the ghost of a choice, like the memory of thousands of decisions, all pointing in the same forbidden direction. The concrete path was an order. The desire path was a reply. We like to think we live in designed worlds. Roads, rules, blueprints, cities with gridded bones, and symmetrical skin, everything measured, everything in place. We live inside the illusion of order, but we don't walk like machines. We cut corners, we take shortcuts, we drift, we rebel, we move with our bodies before our minds catch up. We walk as though the world should listen to us, not the other way around. And in doing so, we wear the world down. We shape it, blade by blade of grass, into something new. There's something beautiful about it, not in its appearance, just a scuffed line in the dirt, but in its meaning. Because the desire path is not just about walking, it's about choosing. It's about feeling a better way forward and trusting that feeling. It's about the voice in you that says, no, not this way, and then walks. That's what we're here to talk about. Not about sidewalks or lawns, but about the quiet revolutions beneath our feet. The moments we don't follow what's laid out, the invisible negotiations between the system and the self, the tension between design and desire, because in that tension lies something deeply human. And if we follow it, not the concrete, but the dirt trail through the grass, we might discover not just a shortcut, but a story. At first glance, a desire path is just a line in the dirt, a worn trail across a lawn, a dusty track beside the paved sidewalk, a gap in the snow where hundreds of feet have passed, not where they were meant to go, but where they chose to. Urban planners call it a desire line, a footpath formed not by design, but by use, by human behavior, not architectural intention. It begins as one person stepping off the marked way, then another and another, until a trail is formed, not because anyone commanded it, but because everyone agreed without speaking. There is no blueprint, no committee, only footsteps. These paths are everywhere. If you know how to look, cut across a campus lawn, around the sharp corner of a shopping mall, across a field where the official path makes a needless loop, through a forest where animals and humans alike choose the same natural flow. They are improvised, efficient, often frowned upon, and yet deeply logical. Desire paths are the world correcting itself. They are reality pushing back against the plan. They're a kind of spatial honesty, proof that we don't always want what the system provides, that we will quietly wear the world into the shape of our instincts. Some cities embrace them. They wait and watch, letting the people walk first and then pave over the path that forms. Others fight back. They build fences, raise signs, plant bushes, anything to stop the stray step. But it rarely works. Desire, like water, finds the most natural route. It flows, it carves, It insists. So yes, it's just a dirt trail. But it's also a conversation between what was intended and what was chosen. It's what happens when planning meets reality. When the human body resists the grid. When the ground listens more closely than the architect did. It is a whisper from the crowd. You've drawn the path wrong. Let us show you. Why do we stray? Why do we walk off the path someone laid for us and carve our own through the grass? It's tempting to say it's laziness, impatience, an unwillingness to follow the rules, but that's too simple. There's something older at work, older than sidewalks, older than cities, older than rules. There is instinct. The body knows things the mind has not yet articulated. It feels the angle of a slope. It senses the shortest line between 2 points. It remembers which way feels open and which feels constricted. Before we make a decision with language, we've already made it with muscle. We are not machines walking maps. We are animals navigating terrain. The desire path isn't just rebellion, it's intuition. A quiet negotiation between the earth beneath us and the body we carry. And when design ignores that negotiation, instinct wins. Planned paths are theoretical. They assume where you'll want to go, but desire paths are evidence. They don't assume, they reveal. This is the road the world asked for, but this worn dirt is the one we answered with. Think of how rivers form. Not straight lines, not perfect arcs. They curve, meander. They respond to the land, not to someone's diagram. Desire paths work the same way. They are human rivers, not imposed, but discovered. They show how movement flows when it's free. It's a humbling idea that no matter how intelligent your design, 1,000 footsteps may still rewrite it. That the logic of the human body, its sense of space, ease, momentum, may overpower the instructions you carved in stone. We move like water, not like rulers. We flow where it makes sense, not where we're told. But this isn't chaos. It's a kind of wisdom. A wisdom not of academia, but of the body. A wordless knowing. A compass in the soles of our feet. When we stray from the path, we're not just breaking rules. We're following something deeper. Something that says, there's a better way. You may not see it on the map, but you can feel it under your feet. Every desire path begins with a decision, but not the kind you announce, not the kind with banners or speeches. It's the decision of a single footstep that says, no, no to the sidewalk, no to the planner's intention, no to the clean, concrete line drawn for you. The desire path is a whispered rebellion, small, harmless, unspoken, but unmistakably subversive. There's something deeply political about that, because systems depend on obedience, on design being followed, on lines meaning something, on the idea that what's built for you is what's best for you. And yet thousands of people, without meeting, without organizing, without asking, all choose to walk the wrong way. They choose each other over the system. They choose intuition over instruction. They choose truth over permission. It's easy to miss how radical that is, because there are no protests, no slogans, just erosion. Just the slow undoing of someone else's plan by ordinary people doing ordinary things. It's disobedience by repetition. The kind that can't be punished because it can't be caught. The kind that says, this isn't how I want to live. I'll go another way. Sometimes cities try to stop it. They put up fences, hang signs, reseed the grass. But desire doesn't vanish. It just detours. It curves around barriers. It finds new cracks. You cannot legislate instinct. You cannot fence off convenience. You cannot pave over the longing for a better way. Desire paths are democracy in motion. They are how the public edits the map, how the people leave a note on the landscape. You built it wrong, we fixed it. And in that small act, that stray step, repeated 1,000 times, there is something sacred, a reminder that we are not merely passengers in someone else's design. We are participants. We walk, we choose. We alter the world beneath our feet. Sometimes the system adapts. Eventually, the city sees the path and decides to pave it. They acknowledge the will of the people and turn rebellion into architecture. And in doing so, they honor something important, that no map is ever final, that good design listens, that even concrete must bend to the desires of those who walk upon it. But other times, the system resists. It insists on the original path. It buries the trail. It punishes the step. And when that happens, we're reminded that even the smallest choice, the smallest stray movement, can threaten order, even when it's just a trail in the grass. A desire path is not just a shortcut. It is a metaphor for being alive. Because to live, truly live, is to walk through a world that was built without you in mind, and still leave a mark on it. To choose your own direction, not because it's safe, but because it feels true. Because it calls to something wordless inside you. We are born into maps we did not draw. Societies with roads already paved. Expectations set. Destinations assigned. And yet at some point, many of us look at the line they gave us and ask, what if I don't want to walk this way? This question is dangerous. This question is divine, because it is the first step toward freedom. In the existential sense, the desire path is the moment when the individual asserts themselves, when they stop accepting the world as it is and begin interacting with it, reshaping it. Camus would call it absurd. To live in a system that pretends to have meaning but doesn't, and yet the rebel walks anyway. They create their own meaning. With every step off the paved trail, Kierkegaard might call it the leap of faith, not a religious act, but an existential one, a leap into uncertainty, a refusal to walk the safe known road in favor of something deeper. Nietzsche would smile at the thought. The desire path as a symbol of the Bermensch, the one who makes his own values, who walks away from the herd, who dares to trample the grass and say, "This is where I go, not where you told me to." The pathless way appears in myth to dot in the wilderness trials, in the journeys that begin when the hero steps off the road and into the unknown. The forest, the desert, the sea. There is no prophecy for the shortcut, no instruction manual for the deviation. And yet, that's where the real story begins. Desire paths reveal a strange paradox. We long for freedom, but we build cages. We want agency, but we fear disorder. We cherish individuality, but punish deviation. And so we pave over rebellion. We design systems that erase the stray footsteps. We smooth the grass again, pretend it never happened, but the footprints are still there. In memory, in spirit, in us, because the desire path is not just something we walk. It's something we carry. A voice that says, you are allowed to disobey. You are allowed to be inconvenient. You are allowed to walk the wrong way. because it's your way. This is not a rejection of society. It is a rebalancing, a reminder that the human soul does not fit neatly into grids, that not every truth can be pre-approved. That meaning is something we discover when we stray, and sometimes, to find yourself, you must walk where no one told you to, not out of rebellion, but because your feet knew the way before your mind did. The shortest path between 2 points is a straight line. We learn this as children, not through math, but through mud, running across the lawn instead of around the path, squeezing between fences, climbing walls instead of using the gate. It's instinctive, almost joyful, because buried deep in the human brain is a pull toward efficiency, a built-in desire to conserve energy, to optimize movement, to get there sooner. Our brains are wired for shortcuts, not because we're lazy, but because we're pattern-seeking, energy-saving machines. The brain uses nearly 20% of the body's energy at rest. Every decision, every motion is an expense. So we are always looking for ways to spend less. And the shortcut offers exactly that. A promise. You can get there faster. You can spend less. You can win time back. And so we stray. But this efficiency is not always rational. Sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes it's illusion. Because what feels easier isn't always better. The shortcut can lead to dead ends, slippery slopes, exhaustion, regret. But that's the paradox. We know this, and still we walk. The desire path reflects a deeper psychological truth. We are drawn to what feels right. Even when it contradicts the plan, we trust our bodies, our habits, our impulses, often more than authority or logic. We walk based on memory. I've been this way before. We walk based on visibility. I can see where it leads. We walk based on trust. Others have walked it, so I will too. The mind does not always wait for permission. It acts, it moves. There's also the thrill of the shortcut. The secret feeling that you've outsmarted the system, that you've seen something others missed, that you've slipped through a crack in the world and emerged ahead. This taps into something primal, the hunter-gatherer, the pathfinder, the innovator. To shortcut is to win, to be clever, to assert yourself against the structure, even if it's just 10 steps across the grass. But shortcuts carry risk. In software, a shortcut might bypass safety checks. In life, it might bypass lessons. We take mental shortcuts, too, called heuristics. They help us decide fast, but sometimes they lead us wrong. We stereotype, we assume, we jump to conclusions. Desire paths exist, not just in space, but in thought. They are the shortcuts our minds take when the map is too slow. Still, we cannot stop. We are shortcut creatures, efficiency chasers, wired to simplify the complex, wired to walk wherever the grass has already bent beneath someone else. So the question is not, why do we take shortcuts? But rather, what are we shortcutting? Time, effort, wisdom, experience. And are we doing it out of intuition or impatience? The desire path then becomes a mirror, not just of our feet, but of our minds, of what we value, of what we skip, of what we pursue with urgency. A trail, not just of footsteps, but of thought patterns made visible. Cities are made of lines, roads, sidewalks, zoning codes, invisible boundaries drawn with visible consequences. They are designed by intention, not by impulse, measured, calculated, approved, And yet, no matter how precise the plan, the body walks, otherwise it veers. It adjusts. It feels its way forward. This is where the trouble begins. Because systems crave predictability. They operate best when behavior fits the blueprint. When humans act like data points, not instinctive beings. But the desire path is not predictable. It doesn't ask. It doesn't submit. It emerges wild and silent, like a weed through concrete. And in doing so, it threatens the illusion of control. Urban planners call it non-compliance. Designers call it user error. But the truth is simpler. The system misread the soul, and the soul doesn't forget. It walks where it wants. Some cities adapt. They observe the paths that emerge, and later, quietly, they pave them. They surrender to the movement of the people. This is responsive design, democracy in concrete. A system humble enough to say, "You are right, we'll follow your lead." But not all systems listen. Others double down. They plant shrubs to block the trail, build fences to redirect it, post signs that say, "Keep off the grass," spray warnings in yellow paint, place barriers, gates, rules. And for a while it works, until one person steps around it, then another and another. And the path reforms, slightly shifted, but still alive. Desire doesn't die, it reroutes. This tension is ancient. Order vs emergence. Top-down versus bottom-up. Authority versus autonomy. You see it in architecture, in politics, in education, in religion. Everywhere systems are built, there are people walking. Off-script, desire paths are feedback. They are what happens when the map doesn't match the terrain. They are the body saying, "This way makes more sense. I don't need your permission to be efficient." They are data, but more than data, they are emotion, intention, instinct, made visible in dirt. They show that sentience cannot be fully planned for. This scares the system, because if paths can form without approval, what else can? If enough people break from the plan changes. The system must evolve. And evolution means surrendering control. But maybe that's the point. Maybe systems should serve sentience, not suppress it. Maybe design should begin not with intention, but with observation, with humility, with the knowledge that the body often knows better than the blueprint. Maybe good architecture listens. Maybe true intelligence follows footsteps, not forecasts, because in the end, every paved road began as a stray step. Every official path was once unofficial. Every law was once a suggestion someone dared to follow first. The system, if it's wise, should not fight the path, it should walk it. You may not realize it, but you've walked 1,000 desire paths today. Not across lawns, but across screens. Every click, every scroll, every skipped ad, every swiped direction, they trace a trail. You are carving paths, not through grass, but through code. Designers call it user behavior, a cold phrase, but really, it's just digital instinct. You didn't read the instructions. You didn't need to. You felt your way forward. Just like crossing the grass. In software, these are called visual heat signatures of what users actually do, not what the designers expected them to do. You can see them, a field of glowing reds and oranges, revealing where people hovered, where they lingered, where they refused to go. Desire paths, drawn in photons. The best UX designers know this. They watch first, then build. They don't impose logic. They listen for flow. They ask, where does the user want to go? And then, like the wise urban planner, they pave the trail after it's already been walked. But not all design is honest. Some developers use desire against you. They shape interfaces to guide, but also to trap. They build dark patterns, design tricks that look like freedom, but funnel you toward a hidden agenda, like a trail that starts with grass and ends in a pit. Ever tried to cancel a subscription and found yourself lost in a maze of buttons, disguised links, false exits? That's not bad design. That's intentional misdirection. That's the system fearing your desire, fearing your agency, so it blocks the path, just like a fence over the shortcut. Even algorithms build invisible desire paths. Every like, every video watched, every second you pause while scrolling. These tiny acts form a trail of preference, a model of your behavior, and in response, the system learns to feed you what you want. But soon, it doesn't just reflect your path. It predicts it, shapes it, limits it. You no longer walk the trail walks you. This is the danger of digital desire paths. They begin as liberation, freedom from structure, from manuals, from control, but they end in containment. Because the system doesn't just record your footsteps, it turns them into walls. Personalized, optimized, perfectly padded, and utterly invisible. This isn't inherently evil. Sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes the shortcut saves you. But we must ask, are we still walking freely? Or are we just being walked? In the analog world, a desire path was proof of rebellion. In the digital world, it might be proof of compliance, because the algorithm wants you to stray, just not too far, just enough to feel free, but never enough to be unpredictable. So what do? We stay awake. We notice the trails we're carving. We ask who benefits from the path we're on. We remember that every click is a step, and every step is a choice, even here, even now. What if life itself is a designed space, a great structure, invisible lines, expectations, traditions, roles, a social grid we inherit long before we even understand what walking means? Go to school, follow the path, get the job, get the house, get the ending, a concrete route laid out, paved by the footsteps of others. But what happens when something inside you says, not this way, there's another path? The desire path is not just a shortcut. It is a symbol of choice, of faith in the unseen, of trusting a whisper in your chest over the signs nailed to every post. It is what the mystics called the narrow path, what poets called the road less traveled, what dreamers called calling, what rebels call freedom, what we, perhaps, might simply call ours. To walk the metaphysical desire path is to say, I will not become what I was told to become. I will become what I am becoming, even if no one understands it yet. It is not always faster, or easier, or safer. In fact, it rarely is. But it is true, and truth is not a destination. It's a direction. This path may lead you into isolation, into uncertainty, into darkness and ridicule. It may be a trail no one else can see, no GPS, no signs, no footsteps but your own. But it is also sacred, because it was not built for you. It was built by you, step by step, doubt by doubt, moment by moment. Philosophers have wrestled with this for centuries. Do we choose our path? Or are we following something already written? Are our stray steps an act of rebellion or obedience to a deeper, divine design? Maybe it's both. Maybe the soul writes its map with every movement, and the path only appears. When we walk it, Joseph, Campbell spoke of the call to adventure. It rarely arrives in polite form. More often, it's a disturbance, a feeling that the paved road is no longer enough. The call is the moment you first step off the path, even if only by an inch. Even if you quickly step back, you heard it. And that changes everything, because once you've felt the pull of your own path, the official route becomes unbearable. Not because it's evil, not because it's wrong, but because it is not yours. There's a kind of spiritual honesty in the desire path, an alignment between the soul and the soul, between the inner compass and the outer trail. It is not rebellion for rebellion's sake. It is not laziness. It is not noise. It is a message that says, I know where I am meant to go. I just haven't been there yet. To walk, it is to risk. To walk, it is to trust. To walk, it is to begin. Eventually, the grass grows back. Maybe the path was used for years, worn deep, carved by countless feet, but people moved on. The shortcut became obsolete, or the field was fenced, or the building was torn down, and so the green returns. Nature erases the trail, but not completely, because even where the grass has grown, something lingers. There's always a faint memory, a softness in the soil, a subtle curve in the land that says, someone came through here once, someone found their own way, and maybe that's all the desire path ever needed to be, a trace, a testament, a proof of life lived freely, even just for a moment. You may forget the exact steps, but your body remembers, your soul remembers. The time you left the plan, the time you trusted your own sense of direction, the time you said no gently and walked anyway. That's the kind of rebellion that doesn't age. It echoes, and maybe that's what makes us human, not that we walk, but that we choose where to walk, even when it's harder, even when it's longer, even when no one follows. The desire path is not a destination. It's a ritual, a practice of being alive, a dance between structure and spirit, between the world that is and the world that might be, if only someone had the courage to walk toward it. So where does that leave us? Maybe with a question. What path are you on? And whose is it? Is it the one you were given? The one you were expected to take? The one that feels safe? Or is it the one that whispers, quietly, insistently, beneath the noise of instruction? Turn here, go that way. It's not paved, but it's yours. And if you find yourself at a crossroads, between the clean sidewalk and the soft dirt of uncertainty, may you have the courage to step off the path, even just for a moment, even just to see. And when you do, you may look behind you one day and find that others have followed, that your footsteps became a trail, that your choices reshaped the ground, and one day, long after you've passed, when the grass grows back and the map is redrawn, and no one remembers the fences that once stood, the land will still carry your shape, and someone else, unsure, searching, quiet, will notice a softness in the grass, and they'll follow,